We have created a nightmare for our youth. And we talk so much. The youth did not make this world they are in. This world that our youth inhabit today was made by us and made by adults. If we gave them a different world to live in, they would behave differently. But when you make jobs for Koreans and make jobs for every other ethnic group but your own, when you let other ethnic groups ship out all of your wealth, when you let the only growth industry in your community become the selling of crack, then you will be killed by your youth. And you'll be terrorized by your youth. These youth are not crazy. These youth are not
And we are on. We say all praises be to the Creator, all power to his people. In the name of Yahshua, the Black Revolutionary Messiah, I greet you, my brothers and sisters, in the spirit of truth and the words of peace. Shalom Aleichem. Giving a special salute to the Black Messiahs. Our motto is stop waiting for a Savior and be one. Stop waiting for a Savior and be one. Getting ready to get started, family. Tonight, we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with the violence in Durham, North Carolina. We have not been on the air. We have not made any public comments since the shooting at South Point Mall. It's been all over the country about the shooting at South Point Mall last weekend. So we have not made any statements really since then. But we're going to talk about tonight, family. And I'm going to bring the Black Messiah community on in a few minutes, but make sure everything's working correct. Sister Sharon, can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to bring people on in a few minutes, but I want to make sure everything is working properly. Tag some people in. Hold on, family. Getting the technical difficulties corrected. Hold on, family. All right. Thank you for your patience, family. But yeah, I'm going to bring members of the Black Messiah community on in a few minutes, but I want to set the framework about what we're talking about. All over the news, CNN, Good Morning America, last weekend, they were talking about Durham and the violence in Durham and the shootings in Durham and how it's such a shame that you can't even go to South Point Mall in peace Well, welcome to our world. Welcome to our world. That is what we have been experiencing in many areas of Durham since the summer of 2019. Now, Durham is always, I won't say always, but Durham has had a problem with violence. And they like to label it gang violence since 2019. Since the 1990s. If you can remember in the 1990s, the media started talking about all these people coming to Durham starting gangs in the 1990s. Then in the early 2000s, you had the media talking about how, again, gangs were taking over Durham. You had movies like Welcome to Durham. And people started really panicking over the gangs in Durham, or the alleged gangs in Durham. Now, we know in Durham, as other activists have said, and I'm not the only activist that said this, people have said it before me. In Durham, you're not dealing with a gang problem, you're dealing with a neighborhood problem. I'm going to say it again. In Durham, you're not dealing with a gang problem, you're dealing with a neighborhood problem. It's neighborhoods fighting neighborhoods. But liberal people, white folks, like to glamorize the gangs. They like to glamorize gang violence and gang problems because they've grown up watching and listening to NWA, listening to Tupac, watching Boys in the Hood. So they get fascinated when you start talking about gangs, but you're trying to apply solutions to conditions in Durham that don't really exist. I'm not saying that there aren't gangs, but you're really dealing with neighborhood problems. Now, how did these neighborhood problems get started? Back in the late 50s and the early and into the 60s and early 70s, the government created a program called Urban Renewal. Urban Renewal. What Urban Renewal was supposed to do, it was supposed to get rid of dilapidated housing. It was supposed to run highways through neighborhoods to create better businesses. And the Black community in Durham, North Carolina, was sold on the idea that if they embraced urban renewal, things would get better. Things would get better. So what they did was they tore down areas around Hayti. They tore down areas in Durham. And they promised people that their lives were going to get better, but it never happened. It never happened. So what they did was, if you read several books and several thesis papers about what happened in Durham, what happened was they created these, what they call super ghettos. So they moved the residents who lived in Black neighborhoods to areas like McDougal Terrace and Hoover Road as their solution. So the violence we see happening in Durham is really chickens coming home to roost. Chickens coming home to roost. What you see happening, brothers and sisters, is that the young people, and I'm not going to say all of them, but many of the young people who are committing the violent acts, and people are going around talking about what we're going to do. Let's pray for Durham. Many of these young people who are committing violence acts, they are the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the victims of urban renewal, but people don't want to talk about that. They want to pretend that the young people in Durham are just natural-born criminals. Somehow they have a criminal gene that gives them a propensity to engage in criminal behavior. They don't want to deal with the fact that grandmother and granddaddy's houses were bulldozed over a lie of prosperity through urban renewal. They shoved black people in these neighborhoods, and they created this division of the neighborhoods. Now the neighborhoods are shooting at each other. Once again, chickens coming home to roost because what the government did with urban renewal. Not only did they destroy black neighborhoods, but they destroyed black businesses as well. They destroyed black businesses as well. Now we're coming with receipts tonight. One book to read about Durham is Upbuilding Black Durham by Leslie Brown. Upbuilding Black Durham by Leslie Brown. Now, this gives kind of a flattering look at Durham. But if you want to know really the dirt about who sold Durham out, how Durham got in the predicament it is, and as a side note, how they destroyed Malcolm X University, which was giving hope to the people, read this book, Liberalism, Black Power, and the Making of American Politics, 1965 through 1980 by Professor Devin Fergus. Also, this book, Defying Dixie by Glenda Elizabeth Gilmore. These books will give you the lowdown of really how Durham was sold out. And now we see the chickens come to home to roost with our young people killing each other. So when we talk about the destruction and the violence of Durham, the first thing we have to do is give a proper analysis of how we got here. We have to give a proper analysis of how we got in this condition. And until we give a proper analysis how we got in this condition, ain't no way we're going to get out of this condition. One more book for right now. Dr. Osha Gray Davidson's book, The Best of Enemies, which is also known, it's based on the movie, The Best of Enemies, which a lot of people around here call the Ann Atwater or Deacon Ann Atwater Pettiford story, deals with the conditions of public housing that people like Dr. Howard Fuller and the late Deacon Ann Atwater Pettiford and others fought against. So we have to know the history because nobody in Durham, I won't say nobody, but most people in Durham don't want to deal with that history because they don't want to name the names of who sold us out, who is indeed responsible for the shootings. And you can blame the young people, you can blame the guns, but you created the economic conditions that exist in Durham today that were predicted as early as the late 1960s to produce exactly what we're experiencing today. I want to give a salute to the people in the chat. Brother Earl Chestnut, who is a noted community activist. Brother Rafiq Zadi Muhammad, who is also a noted community activist in Durham. So we're going to have a good discussion tonight. Family. So right now I'm going to bring in the Minister of Information for the Durham Black Messiah community, Sister Sharon, aka Sister Spitfire. I'm also going to bring in Sister Sharon, who is the Chief of Staff for the Black Messiah community of Durham, North Carolina. And listening on the line, who will be probably participating in the chat, is Brother Damon, who is the Minister of Defense for the Black Messiah community of Durham, North Carolina. Let's see, Brother Rafiq said, all of this is a process, ethnic cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Let me say For those, I know everybody listeners aware of ethnic cleansing, but there is a book that I had right here, but I'll pull it in a few minutes. It's dealing with the fact that in many areas in this country, there are black communities that were completely wiped out.
Yep.
One minute you had black people there, and next minute they were gone. We call it economic ethnic cleansing now, where they create the economic conditions to get rid of black people. And we like to pretend like these things don't exist, but indeed they do exist. They
It's
have happened.
happening.
We have
It's
the receipts and the history to prove that it indeed happened. So the bottom line is until we deal with these issues and learn how we got here, we're going to continue having shootings, continue having our young people running around shooting each other, and continue to be going around like we don't know the answers because we don't know the answers because in reality we ain't even looking for the answers. Sister Spitfire, you got some words?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's already starting to happen. When we say black neighborhoods are disappearing, I think to even make that a clearer statement is black successful neighborhoods are disappearing. Um because nobody wants it until we make it look good. You think about downtown Durham, it was flourishing.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time that I walked downtown Durham, when I went actually that day looking for the council members meeting that never happened, I was just walking around because I was curious to see how many black businesses I would walk past. Um, One used to be Dames, which is no longer there, but beside that, there's still a little African like fabric store. Well, not the fabric store, but like an African store. But right beside that, there used to be an African fabric store. So that's two black businesses gone. Now there's just the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think that anyone has even noticed that they are quietly removing black businesses from that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's a problem when you have Chinese restaurants, you have Thai food, you have all these little random knick-knack white businesses that it's like, what really are you selling? Like, that are just non-interesting, but hey, they had the money to open a business, and so you can go get bikes and beer, you
Mm-hmm.
know, at one business. And ironically, they're surrounded by the artwork on the very street which black people painted, which is begging to be included. And right before you get to that, if you drive from Roxborough Road, depending on which street, if you take Duke or if you take not Avondale, but if you take Duke or if you take Roxborough Road, depending on which one you take, you'll pass by, you know, dilapidated houses, and then they get a little bit better, and then you begin to see all these Black Lives Matters signs and stuff all posted up. And then you begin to see black lives sleeping on the sidewalk. No longer can they get warmth or a hot cup of coffee or use the toilet at the McDonald's because they've knocked that down, because it was a place for them to go to, you know, maybe get a cup of coffee that someone was willing to purchase them. So it's like there's a message in that there. They're basically saying, we don't want to see you rich, poor, employed, homeless. We don't want to see you. And that's very disturbing. So now that these shootings have come to South Point, they don't have a choice. And I think that, the same way that they were quick to shut down the mall, they were quick to hop on it.
Mm-hmm.
Got a suspect quick. He was the wrong suspect, but by damn it, they got a suspect quick. And, you know, that doesn't happen in the hood. We all know this. It just
Can
doesn't
we
happen.
deal with that for a second, Sister Spitfire? Not to cut you off, but since you brought it up, um, that was strange to me that they immediately grabbed a suspect that they
Yeah.
said was responsible for the shootings almost immediately. And
Hmm.
then social people with cell phones started sharing it on social media,
And
saying,
now he's
okay, that's the
marked.
person who did it. Now, yeah, what
He is
happens when,
marked.
and then the next day they say, okay, we don't have a suspect, but you've already had
Marked him.
have him marked. So what
Hmm.
happens when you think you got a suspect, you flash his name uh, all across his face all across social media, not his name, but his face all across social media for the world to see as your suspect. Then you come back the next day and say, well, we don't have a suspect. What happens to that young man who they had on video saying
Hmm.
he was part of that alleged gang fight?
Hmm. And hopefully, he's not a target now. Hopefully, if I was him, I would be seeking the counsel of a lawyer very quickly because, one of the things that bothers me about that is he was in the vicinity, right? They automatically said it's a gang affiliated shooting. And how did they know that? Well, let's talk about the victims who were shot. What did they look like?
I
I bet
haven't
I
heard.
know. Because here's the thing, if they didn't look like me, where would their faces be? They would be posted up on the news as victims. But because they probably look like you and I or Guadalupe, they are not going to really get very much media attention. And that's the upsetting thing is. The upsetting thing is, you have this shooting that occurred at this school and it's it's all over the country.
Mhm.
But the day before, I think it was the day before, a 14-year-old boy was gunned down in broad daylight. That's a child. Like, I don't think people even understand the magnitude of that. Two grown men got out of a car, shot him right in front of a pharmacy, waiting for the bus.
Mhm.
Multiple witnesses saw. They didn't shut that block down.
Mhm.
The shooting at the school, it said the police were there within 5 minutes.
Mhm.
That lets you know what the race of those kids that go there were
Mhm.
and what the victims were. And so that needs to stop happening. This urgency for white lives. All of our kids have to go to school. All of our kids like shopping at the mall. Black, white, Asian, straight, gay, trans. They all want to spend money for Christmas. None of them wants to find a bullet lodged in their lung tissue.
Indeed. Brother Chestnut says the chief said they're going to get fed times. I'm sure.
I'm sure they will because guess what? The victims were, I mean, they're going to get time, but I think what they're more concerned about is that they have disrupted white shopping. They have disrupted white lives. These people that shoot up over by McDougal Terrace, a little store over there, Food Lion shopping lot in the hood,
Mhm.
they're not talking about giving them fed time. How many years have gone by in Durham with us talking about these shootings that occur at gas stations,
Mhm.
convenience stores, right
Mhm.
in front of the dollar store? How much would it take for them to put cameras? To put cameras, surveillance cameras. You're telling me that they don't have money for that. But how much our taxes are higher than Raleigh?
Indeed. Indeed.
And you hit
Let's,
a
oh, I'm
pothole
sorry.
on Roxborough Road, your car is done.
Mhm. We got a lot of work to do in this city. Let's bring Sister Sharon, the chief of staff, on. Sister Sharon, you have any remarks at this point?
Can't hear you.
Can
We
you
can
hear
hear
me
you.
now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Earlier you was talking about urban renewal and what transpired in Durham with that. And the truth be told, it was our rich black people that sold us out. And you think about it, when they shut down black communities, that took the soul of our communities, that took our grassroots, it it took our village, because I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and we had in my community, we had doctors, lawyers, preachers, teachers, garbage men, you name it, nurses, whatever. And kids got to see what a working person looked like,
Mhm.
and how that they could achieve, and we had pharmacy stores, we had movie theaters, everything. And see, when you take all of that away, and
Mhm.
then when the next generation comes along, they don't know anything about any of that.
Right.
Mhm.
And so they know is they just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so with nature, they're going to do whatever it takes for them to survive, whether it's right or wrong.
Mhm.
And so I feel like Durham has been raped not only by the white man but by rich blacks as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like until we get back to our village, it takes a village to raise one child, and which it does. And so until we get back to some of those ways, it's going to be difficult for this generation to really to grasp and move forward without doing criminal activities.
Right.
Mhm.
Good point, sister. So then let's segue into some of the books we've been reading about root causes. Um, I'm going to pull out some good books that people should read, and these are books that will be real instrumental in reaching young people, because a lot of them have been, the media has historically put out to the community, that were put out to the world, that black people are a bunch of animals.
Mm.
Right.
If you remember the movie The Godfather, one of the scenes from The Godfather was when they were discussing whether or not they're going to sell drugs in the community, and they
Right.
said, sell it to the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
what they call them,
Yep.
moolies. Sell it to the moolies, I think they said.
Mm-hmm.
There.
And
Yeah.
he said, they said they're animals
The
anyway.
animals anyway. Yep.
Let them lose their souls.
Right.
Mhm.
That's the
That's
mentality.
exactly what he said,
That's
man.
the mentality that they have with dealing with our young people. So our young people have internalized the fact that it's normal to go around shooting people. No, excuse me, scratch. It's normal going around shooting other black people.
That's right.
Now, this is one of my favorite books, The
Mm.
Psychopathic Racial Personality by Dr. Bobby E. Wright. And
Mm.
he talks about, my favorite part of this book is when he talks about street sense, or as people would talk about street knowledge, because there is a myth. Let's see. Brother Rafik said former Chief Davis informed the community that law enforcement from the feds were in Durham several years ago, yet gun violence escalated. The political elite has the tendency of gaslighting. Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
Mhm.
And we're going to get to that. Blame the victims without putting it in historical
Mhm.
context. Brother Rafik, you are right, sir. Now,
Yep.
many people who say they have a solution for violence have also brought into this idea of street sense or street knowledge, being that, in order to reach people from the street, you got to get people from the street.
Yes.
Our mentality is no. We have to
Mhm.
raise the consciousness of the streets, not reach them on their level, but raise them up to a higher level.
That's right.
They've watched boys, no, scratch, going back. They've watched these 1970 blaxploitation movies. They've watched the 90 gangster flicks, and they're like, okay, there's some kind of mythical street knowledge that only other gang members can understand. So that qualifies them to save other gang members. And we say, no, we need scholars. We need people who are knowledgeable about not where we are right now, but how we got there. Street knowledge is a myth. Dr. Bobby E. Wright says, one of the most prevailing mental myths in the Black community is that street sense is positive. What is really being inferred is that whites do not control the streets in the Black community, nor the behavior of Blacks on those streets. This is untrue. Whites have more control, or at least as much control, over brothers and sisters in the streets than over those in universities. Street sense generally prepares Blacks to deal with one another in very destructive ways, and the whites wipe out the winner. The population of prisons, drug programs, and funeral homes verify this reality. Yet Black children in increasingly large numbers are having to choose between two white institutions, the public schools and the public streets. Both will lead to destruction. Dr. Bobby E. Wright, The Myth of Street Knowledge. I would say that I think that the brothers and sisters, the street cats, as they say, the brothers and sisters in the gang, I think they should be part of the process. But as far as being process of Black liberation, because if somebody is a former gang member, they have intelligence that'll help us. If you come to me and say, well, I'm a former gang member and I want to stop the crime and the violence in the community, tell us something we don't know. That's how you can help us. If you are that entrenched in what's going on in the streets, tell us how the guns are getting in there. If you want to prove to us that you have reformed your life and you are now about saving the community, tell us where the drugs and the guns are coming from. Because if you're from the streets, you should know.
You know they'll never do that.
But that is how you validate the fact that you're for the rise of the people and not against the rise of the people. Because we've listened to Tupac. We've seen Boys in the Hood. We've seen Minister Society. But what we haven't figured out, even going back to when they put the FBI and the CIA allegedly put crack in South Central Los Angeles in the 80s. If you watch the movie Snowfall, you know what I'm talking about. If you read the works of Gary Webb, Dark Alliance, you know what I'm talking about. The CIA either allegedly put drugs in South Central Los Angeles, or which has been notified, and I think they admitted to, they've actually looked the other way when it was happening. Either way, they were complacent with the crack coming into LA. That's the reality. That's the information we need, brothers and sisters. Your thoughts, sisters?
I think a lot of times we know that. I was talking with my daughters about the whole incident at the mall. They're young. I'm like, why do you think that's happening? And, she said a lot of them, and actually even a friend of mine whose son is 22, that works at the mall, was saying that you have these Blood and Crip, and now they're basically battling over the mall. But the shooting that happened was over a dispute between two groups of three people. I guess 3 in one group and 3 in the other. And so the thing about that is, I think young Black people, they have a lot more sense than they're given credit for, because I feel like if you have sense enough to market a drug, meaning sell it, you have business sense. You know how to run a business. You're punctual, you're on time every day, you know how to get there, and if whatever is the appropriate type of clothing to wear, you're wearing that to attract the type of customer that you want. So they're aware of these things. So they're not stupid. And I think the generation that we are all in, um, sometimes it's easier to catch a fly, with honey rather than salt. So I also think it might be a mistake to include past gang members because they may reinforce that, well, look at him, he made it out, when in fact, the deterrent should be, this is the reason why you shouldn't. Well, look at what you could do, look at what you could achieve, not, look at him, he made it out on the other side. Because many of us that grew up in the streets know it's only two ways out of the gang, and a lot of times gang members that are talking too much are considered a snitch, and that's like the taboo of the hood. We know there's unspoken rules of the street that we know of, and even though in the book, it says, yeah, I get what the author of that book is speaking about, but they're still playing by those rules. And at some point we have to do something to deter them from following those rules. And we need a bargaining chip that we're not being given, because Black people in Durham don't own businesses. So we can't ever say, hey, young man, I know you out there on these streets. Why don't you come work at my shop for me? Hey, young man, let me show you how to be a barber. Hey, young man, come follow me to this plumbing job so I can apprenticeship you. We can't say that because they're not trying to give Black adults our age money to do nothing but bury ourselves.
You have a
That's it.
com- you have a comment from Brother Chestnut. He says, Sharon, my
Mm-hmm.
brother lives in Memphis, and he said a lot of the
Oh,
shooting that
yes.
occurs in Memphis is because of jealousy and envy among Blacks.
That
Sharon,
is a fact.
you
Mhm.
did a very important breakdown of that a few weeks ago, not a few weeks ago, earlier this year.
Yeah.
Black on Black Violence by Dr. Amos Wilson. The
Yep.
psychodynamics of Black self annihilation in the
Mm-hmm.
service of white domination. Everybody should read this book.
It's a must read. I have gotten 3 young Black people to read it already.
Mhm.
3.
Because, like
Mm-hmm.
Brother Chestnut was saying, that puts things into context. You know, how
Yeah.
did we get to this point? How do we get to the point where we begin to hate each other so much that we begin to be public enemy number one?
Envy, jealousy, envy, and self-hate. Because really, if I say I'm for my brother, if he has something that I want or that I admire, I'm not going to be jealous. I might envy him, but they say if you want something that someone has, do what they did to get it. So
Mhm.
rather, I would be trying to find out, well, what did you do to become so successful? Show me. But in the hood, it's like, I gotta get like in Menace to Society when Kane got jumped in that guy's car and bopped him up, took his chain, took his gold ring. He said,
Mhm.
I had to get him. It's jealousy.
Well, that was by design to make us jealous of one another through
Right.
slavery.
Mhm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
they would let
Mm-hmm.
the light skinned blacks work in the house and the dark skinned blacks out in the
In the
field.
field. Yep.
And and the dark skinned blacks would tell on you,
Mm-hmm.
if they know that you trying to get away or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so they made us hate one another. They even made us hate ourselves,
Right.
because you got Black people, Black women right today, even over in Africa, you know um changing the color of their skin and
Mm-hmm.
hair and all of that, trying to look white. Excuse me.
Mhm.
And so we have got to learn how to love ourselves and love our people. And see, we're the only race of people that really don't have a foundation, a root foundation in our ancestry.
We were robbed.
But
Yeah.
you know
Right.
what? I say to that, I speak power to that, because there have been times, and this is unfortunate, there have been times when I've been in the presence of Africans, of West Indians, of Hispanics. And, there's a sort of unsaid frowning upon Black Americans that happens, as if we somehow disappointed them by still being here. But to that, I say, bitch, I ain't going nowhere. My ancestors have made it through backstabbing, through the voyage across the ocean. Some who were already here that were Native Americans were exposed to smallpox. They made it through Jim Crow. They made it through crack. My father was a heroin addict. I'm still here. So Black people have to, start to rise up. At some point, I'm not always going to claim victim. I'm claiming power over this. And I think Black people need to claim power over it. Nobody else has come through what we have come through. And we still here. And we ain't going no damn where. And
Well,
they're
what I
mad
say,
and they're jealous about it.
what I say to my Black African brothers and sisters who always wonder why we are still here, I ask them, well, if America is not for us to be here, then why are you over here? And if you care so much about us, why didn't y'all come and help us? They didn't come. We helped them with apartheid.
Mm-hmm.
They never came over here and marched and fought for us.
And I think that's by design too. If you can keep people divided, then, you know, they're not going to. If you can keep people looking at the magic trick in your hand, they're not going to realize you're digging in their pocket.
And that's what Dr. Carter G. Woodson and everybody who has a young person, please have them read this book, The Miseducation of the Negro by
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And that speaks to what both of you just said. Dr. Carter G. Woodson said that if you train a man, to paraphrase, if you train a man to go to the back door, he will always go to the back door.
That's
And
right.
even when there's no back door, he'll create his own back door.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, today they call it social engineering.
Yeah.
Social engineering, because like you, Sister Sharon was saying, all of this is not by accident. We have to understand the causes. It's social engineering. And the bottom line is to keep us in the graveyard or put us in jail. Like Dr. Chauncey McIntyre talked about it, criminalizing a race. Criminalizing a race. Even ever since slavery, when slavery ended, they found a way to criminalize Black people. And I know your favorite book, and we're still dealing with it. And we're going to get to solutions before we close out, family. So hang tight.
Yes.
This is a real good book by Queen Mother Frances Cress Welsing, The ISIS Papers.
That book, you got to have, I just explained to my daughter because she's reading it. You really have to have little tabs on that book because her way of writing, she uses a lot of analogies and she does use big words. My daughter said, all those words, I was looking up stuff in the dictionary and I came back and then I was like, what was she talking about? And I said, you got to take little side notes when you're reading the book so that when you come back to that paragraph and she starts talking off in her analogy, you're like, that's what she meant. And then it's almost like you leave your house and you see it. You really see it. It was like I was walking in the Matrix. I was like, I see it. The second time I read it, I said, I see it.
Just like Brother Rafiq just said, we must also deal with the root causes of self-hatred and why we are subliminally trained to self-hate. What Dr. Frances Cress Welsing does in the ISIS Papers, she talks about how important symbolism is.
The images.
Back in the 70s. And even back then, she was talking about the images that our young people, where our people bombarded with, that reinforce this self-hate. She talked about the origin of slang, Why black men call other black women babies.
Baby.
We call our homes the crib. She
Mm-hmm.
dealt with this in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in Durham, we don't want to deal with that. We want to deal with lock them up, throw them in jail, or some white people are going to come save us.
And the thing is, they're not going to save us. They're just going to move us from one project to another.
The idea of self-determination that you talked about, Sister Spitfire, the idea that Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, taught us about how up you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. You're not going to see that on TV. You're not going to hear it on the radio. You're not going to read it in the newspaper. Because just like Gil Scott Heron said back
in
1970, he said the revolution will not be televised. He said the revolution will not be televised. But I'm saying in 2021, going into 2022, in Durham, we're saying the solution is not going to be televised either.
No, it really won't.
That's why it's important as we move into the solution. Brother Sibo says, they put us where they put the white people they didn't expect until the 1920s. The Jewish, Italian, that's how they were able to control our situations for decades. One of you sisters want to talk about that? Sister Sharon, I know you've been reading The Color of Law. You want to discuss Brother Sibo's
Excuse me, will you repeat that question? Because I had zoned out. I was in my own little thinking of something.
Brother Sibo says they put us where they put white people, and they didn't expect until, I guess, except until the 1920s. The Jewish, the Italian, the Irish, that's how they are able to control our situations for decades. So, Sister Sharon, you can add on to this, but ghetto wasn't even a black word.
Nope.
That was meant for Jewish people over in Germany, where they the Nazis forced them to live.
Yep.
It was adopted for black people in America. So we always talk about being ghetto, living in the ghetto, glorifying the ghetto. The ghetto wasn't even meant to talk about black people.
That's right. And that's why I feel like, just like the N word, we need to get rid of ghetto that's representing us, because that we're not. We've never been ghetto. That was always in Europe. And so we've got to retrain the mindset, especially of our young people, because I still hear young people using the N word talking with each other. You know, and they think it's cool. They don't have a problem with it, and they even let their friends that don't look like them say that to them.
Exactly.
And because I was appalled when I saw that. I was at the library at North Carolina Central, and it was two black boys and a white boy, and the white boy said to the two black boys, you know, he called this black girl a B. You know that B think I like her?
Well, he got it.
Y'all ends better get her straight. And I looked, I was thinking those black boys was gonna jump him, you know. They just busted out laughing.
Slavery has truly done a number on us, sister. Brother Dale Freeman, our good brother Dale Freeman, our ally, our comrade, chairman of the Black Liberation Action Committee, says, over a long period of time, trauma begins to look like culture. We're going to deal with that. But I want to give a shout out to Sister Charlesteen, who is our news correspondent in the Black Messiah community. Sister Charlesteen says, great discussion, y'all. We love you, sis. But let's deal with what Brother Dale said. Over a long period of time, trauma begins to look like culture.
And I think that's because we don't control the narrative of our images. You know, if you don't control the narrative of how people perceive you, you know, 20 years from now, they'll say that George Floyd was enjoying being knelt upon. That he was simply given a cop a piggyback ride. If you don't control that narrative, you know, we were talking about why so many young Black women feel disrespected by young Black men. But in no other culture do you hear the male counterpart bashing the female so much as in the Black culture. And where did that come from? That came from, they go to these Jews that own these big record labels, and they don't want to hear them preaching about the Black woman being God. Nah, that's not catchy enough. I need something with a little more grit. How about that one that kept saying nigga, nigga, nigga? Yeah, get him. That's what they want to hear. Because as long as we're out here fighting and cutting up, and every time you see a commercial now, start to pay attention. You see a commercial, there's a Black couple. The Black woman will always, almost always do something catty to the Black man in the commercial. But if
Mm-hmm.
it's an interracial couple, they're just all huggy and lovey. And if it's a gay couple, they're always lovey and huggy. But if it's two Black people that can create more, there's always something off about it. And that is something that is a subliminal message. So that's why I'm always careful about what I'm watching. I can't watch those slave movies, especially when, they keep portraying a story that I know so well.
Right.
Yeah, I know about this story. My kids know about it. That's all you allow them to hear about in history in white schools. But what about what Nat Turner really did?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. What
They don't
about the
want your
invention?
children to know about
What
that.
about the inventions that Black people helped create in America?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I long for the day that we as Black people will have our own schools for our children. I think integration really hurt us because our kids need to see people that look like them teaching them, Black men, Black women, because our young boys and stuff, these white women and white men that's teaching our Black kids and stuff, they don't care about them. And if little Ray act up in class, they're gonna say, "Oh, he's bad. He needs to go to the principal's office."
Mm-hmm.
But then little Johnny can do it. Oh, he's just expressing himself.
Or walking with a gun after making threats on social media, like this boy that just shot 4 kids.
Right. And so I wish like our athletes, very rich athletes and movie stars or whatever, that they would invest in the poor Black communities and build up Black schools. That's why I really encourage young people to go to HBCU schools.
Hmm. I think that there need to definitely be more trade schools, because that's where a lot of the economic Black power came from.
That's right.
We were able to build and do things with our hands. My father was a carpenter. There was nothing he could not fix.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. And I don't know who taught him. He never went to trade school. It was just he was the oldest, and that's what he did. More than likely he learned it from his father, who learned it from his father, and it was just something that was passed down,
Right.
but that's not happening anymore, like to the point where it's even now it's not illegal to do natural hair, but as a Black woman you can't style hair in your home. I'm like, okay. And so we have to start to, we cannot depend on these rich famous moguls, because they're living the dream that they wanted, and they got that free pass because, like the book that I was reading said, they're going to let a few through, just enough to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, 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 we're not racist. Look, like Mitch McConnell said, Black people, y'all got y'all reparations when you got Obama. So
Mm.
they're basically saying, don't ask us for anything. Joe Biden is in office and he all but has an Alzheimer's breakdown every day. He done forgot all about whatever he planned for Black Americans. He's basically even shunning his vice president, who was his token on the way in. And remember what she said, you think I'm just going to do something for Black Americans and reparations? No, 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 no.
And that's
Well, karma is a mug. because now her ratings are right there with Trump's. Black people are gonna have to do this for themselves. It's like that whole post that I put up there was saying we're gonna have to stop buying from white businesses. You do not need Jordans every Christmas. You don't need an Xbox. You don't need a Louis Vuitton purse. There's a black guy that was giving out his card in Durham. I follow him on Instagram. He makes beautiful purses. They're beautiful. But, black people are so busy trying to integrate. I don't think there's anything wrong with integration, so long as you, as well as all the other players, have an equal buying chip. We don't have a chip. We're just the consumer. And the issue is that as long as we're the consumer, why should anyone Asian, Hispanic, or white want to give us something when we keep continuing to support their businesses? So they're going to keep moving in black downtowns and excluding us, because as soon as we work for them or work somewhere where we break our neck to get every day, where do we go? We go right to their business and spend our money there. And that needs to stop. And that's what these young people see.
A little bit of Durham history before. Let's see. Let's get to Brother Dale's comment. If you are silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it. He's quoting Zora
Neil Hurston. Yes.
Okay. Indeed. Now, a little bit of Durham history as a side note. There was a time in 1968 that Durham did have a boycott of white businesses. It was in 1968. And there was a group, and the churches were involved, believe it or not.
Wow.
In 1968, it started that July of 1968, right after the assassination of, right after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. It started in 1968, but they had in Durham, they had a boycott of white businesses, especially Northgate Mall.
How did that happen? How did it end up?
It ended up, they did hurt the businesses, even though some people pointed out that Northgate was a white mall, but that just shows the power economic people we have when we pull together. Not only economic, but just the power of the people when we pull together. So in 1968, they had an assassin. I mean, they boycotted starting in July. Then they said, no, we're going to take this boycott through Christmas. Yeah. And then they said that if we catch you shopping at a white business, we're going to take your picture and put it in the Carolina Times.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
So they got the concessions they wanted, but that just shows the power of unity in Durham. So when they talk about all this gang fighting, a lot of this is just to break up black unity. Because one of the things about Durham that's a lot of people don't talk about, Brother Chestnut said they burned down the grocery store at Felt Street. I didn't know that. I didn't know they burned down the grocery store at Felder Street. But one of the things that Durham has really been against Black power. Because if you look at the history of Durham, it's all about compromising. He said in 1968, they burned down the grocery store on Felder Street. Wow.
There's a lot of
this is the history
Durham history that's not in books.
Right.
There's a lot of Durham history that have died without elders that hasn't been written about. And a lot of people don't know about it. But I think that moving forward, what we got to do is we got to build some kind of stability for us as Black people, where we can work together and get our own issues, like Spitfire was saying, solved, and not wait on somebody else. Like Minister Paul says, stop waiting for a savior and be one.
And that is a perfect segue into solutions, because the 4 steps we want to institute into the Black Messiah community, and any other group might want to consider these 4 steps as well. First, we identify the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Then we analyze the problem. Then we decide, number 3, we decide how we're going to get the information to the people. And 4, we mobilize the problem. We organize how we're going to enact our solutions, boots on the ground. So the 4 steps we want to use is implementation, analyzation, the third
The
one
info.
being propagation,
Mm-hmm.
and the 4th one being implementation. So those are 4 steps we're going to use. Now, as far as the violence, I want to say that we've been having this ever since the 9-year-old was murdered. And again, condolences to the family. In 2019, Durham has been going through the same situation over and over again because we've always had, usually we've had violent spurts in Durham. People start shoot for 2 weeks, then it stop for 6 months. It's been continuous since the 9-year-old.
Yep.
What was his name? Zion Pearson, I think. What's his name? Little
The
Zion.
one in the car that got shot.
We've had a continuous violence since the summer of 2019. It hasn't let up. Last year, at this exact time, we were having the same conversation because last November, I put out 10 steps that we should do to stop the violence in Durham. This was a year ago.
You posted it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. It was a year ago. So I want to go over those 10 steps. Number 1, since violence is disproportionately affecting the African American community, we must replace the term stop the violence with Black empowerment. Because they are real comfortable in saying stop the violence, stop the violence. But we have to make them say Black empowerment and everything that goes along with Black empowerment. Number 2, we need study groups like we have right here. And 2 of the books we should read in the study groups are Black on Black Violence by Dr. Amos Wilson and The ISIS Papers. 3 books. The ISIS Papers by Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, and also Dr. Bobby E. Wright's book of essays, The Psychopathic Racial Personality. So those are 3 books to start off your study groups. And if anybody needs help starting a study group and a book list of books about Black history, we have 2, well, not us, but the community that we've had a hand in with Sister Cheryl Smith, our field marshal, and others. There are 2 places where you can find Black history books that the community did for themselves. Shout out to Sister Ashley Kennedy in McDougal Terrace. We helped set up a Marcus Garvey community room at 51B in McDougal Terrace. They have a Black history library. They're also mentoring children, helping children with their homework. So reach out to Sister Ashley Kennedy in McDougal Terrace. See, everybody's talking about, well, we don't have solutions. No, stop lying. There are solutions in Durham. There are solutions in Durham. McDougal Terrace, they have a Black history library inside 51B, and children are there. So you can volunteer for that. Also, Sister Cheryl Smith and a group called Community Builders and other community people we have the outstanding journalist, Brother Deshaun Farad, who is outstanding, nationally known journalist in the community, in the nation, nationally known journalist, Brother Deshaun Farad, nationally known. He gets around, and also avid advocate of Black power. So we appreciate you joining us, brother. But we also have a new community center, that's going on 900 East Main Street in Durham. It's supposed to officially open in the next couple of weeks, the next coming weeks. But even now, children are going over there, 900 East Main Street, and we have a Black history room. We have books, we're going to have Black History CDs. We got a CD player. We have Black History book. So we're going to have a Black History room in that center. So those are just two things that you can get involved in. Oh, and also every Sunday, Brother Damon, our Minister of Defense, and others, we go out on the West End and we give out free Black History books and snacks and toboggans and wristbands and other things to the community. So those are three things that the Black Messiahs have been involved in that you can get involved in right now. The Black Messiah operations on the West End. But the other two things I named, those are community organizations where different activists in the community came together. Different activists in the community together. So those are three things you can get locked into right now. Right now. To if you are truly looking for a solution. Now, okay, we start with number 2 when we said we were going to call for the formation of study groups. Number 3, this is something we haven't done yet, but we could set up hotlines in Durham. We could set up hotlines and text groups. If your young person is having a beef with somebody else, why don't we intervene before the bullets start flying? Those young people who are shooting each other, they're in your house. That's little Ray Ray. That's your grandson. That's your niece. That's your nephew. That's your family member. Sometimes you don't know they don't know where to look for help. They don't know where to look for help. Why don't we set up hotlines in Durham that you can call if you need some brothers and sisters to intervene? We'll start there right now. Call the Black Messiah number. Call Black Messiah movement number 919-972-8305. 919-972-8305. See, it doesn't take all day to come up with solutions. We can have these solutions done immediately. Number 4, we need a council of elders to mediate disputes and maintain order in the community. Like Sister Sharon said, a lot of the elders, and like Brother Chestnut was saying, a lot of the elders in the community are passing away. Let's use their experience before they go on, before they pass away, so they can give us the real history of what happened and have a council of elders. See, we've become disconnected from our elders in Durham.
That's right.
We don't know the history, and our young people don't have that respect for the elders because they become disconnected from the elders. So in Durham, we need a council of elders to put things back in order. All right, number 5. We already talked about that. Street institutes. That's what we do on the West End every Sunday. The West End of Durham, every Sunday for the last 16 years. This is even before the Black Messiah movement. Every Sunday, we go to the same block at the same time and pass out Black History books, snacks, gloves, CDs, and basically just show the community we care. It ain't about the books, it ain't about the snacks, it's about being present in those communities. And anybody can do that. An individual can adopt a block in Durham. A church can adopt a block in Durham. Any organization can adopt one block in Durham and be responsible for that one block. Easy solutions. Number 6. A couple of years ago, we put something together called Operation Pull Up. And Pull Up stood for People United Loving Life Uplifting People. And Jackie Wagstaff, Mallory, Thornton, Joy, Spencer, Brother Rafiq, Brother Dale, and if I forgot anybody, please remind me. Sister Ashley.
Doesn't Sister Maya go too?
Yeah, Sister Maya. We're going to get to that because I don't think I knew Maya back when we were doing Operation Pull Up. But Operation Pull Up was when we Jackie or somebody or Cheryl would call and say, "This is going on in the community. We need people to pull up right now." So we go running over to McDougal Terrace. We'll get with Ashley and we'll see what's going on in the community. And we'll try to squash what's ever happened. See, it doesn't, and I'm gonna hit on this and leave it alone. Some of us don't get millions of dollars and do this work.
Amen.
And I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to hit on it
The
briefly.
elephant in the room.
We do this out of the goodness of our heart with no funding
Right.
from the community.
That's right. That's
I have
right.
actually seen Ashley Kennedy break up fights, and she doesn't get paid for that. I was there. I was there. I seen Ashley Kennedy jump into a crowd of people and break up a fight. I was there. I witnessed it. You talk about eyewitness news. I witnessed it. We don't get paid for this. We do this out of love for our people. So that was Operation Pull Up, and the reason why we stopped Operation Pull Up or slowed down with Operation Pull Up because I got frustrated. I'm like, look, y'all paying people, giving people $2 million, and I'm getting people out of their beds, away from their families at night and during the day, and then well, not night, but yeah, night. In the evenings, calling people to get out their beds, to come running over to these neighborhoods, and y'all paying people $2 million to do what we doing. I'm endangering their lives, and y'all paying them people $2 million to do what we doing for free.
And they cozy in their bed.
But moving on. Moving on. But yeah, Brother Zafiq can bear witness to this because he was one of the Operation Pull Up people. We would pull up in the community and we would just be a presence in that community to show love. So I'm not beyond doing that. You know, I'll put all that aside. But, you know, y'all know if y'all call me, I'll still be there. Y'all know if y'all call Zafiq, he'll still be there. You know, if you call Jackie and Cheryl and Ashley, we'll still be there. But just let it be known. Some things just ain't fit. Brother Chestnut said, the problem, Brother Paul, those who are doing the work are not the ones getting financial support.
Right. That's it.
Yeah, indeed.
It's about some. Let me sip my tea on that one.
Yeah. See, we being politically correct, but yeah. Number 7. We need group operations call from hood to hood. And that's something we had kind of started from hood to hood. And hood, that's really what Cheryl's really been doing because Cheryl's our field marshal. Mm-hmm. So Cheryl has really been doing from hood to hood, where members of the community share information about resources available in Durham. And hood stands for hope out of despair. Hope out of despair. So that's what really Sister Cheryl, our field marshal, has already been doing that when she was standing up for the people in public housing. Sister Sharon, this was your baby, is your baby. Bureau Against Misinformation. We need to make sure the community is getting accurate information about happenings in Durham, politically, economically, and socially. A lot of things going in Durham, they don't want us to know. They don't want us to know. They don't want the troublemakers, the riffraff to know. The gatekeepers will lock it down that we don't know until it happens. After it happens. We got to have eyes and ears at City Hall, in the streets, in the community. When these things are happening, we got to make the community aware. We got to get on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Shout out to Sister Spitfire for getting me on TikTok. So we got to get on TikTok, social media, to let the community know about what's happening in Durham. Number 9, we got to deputize Black men to protect women, children, and elders. Why can't we just get a group of Black men who would say, hey, when we as individual or small groups of Black men, when there are Black women in Durham, when we're at the mall or at the stores, we're going to be the eyes and ears and make sure this sister who we see walking to her car gets there safely. Because we know during this time of year, people lose their mind and start snatching pocketbooks. Why don't Black men just put it out in the universe? Yeah, put it out in the universe and say, we're going to be the eyes and ears. See, that way, any Black man that the evildoers see, they don't know if they with us or not. Like Brother Steve Coakley said, we got what we got and we got what they think we got. Before they snatch a pocketbook, they have the idea that, oh, that brother over there, he might be one of those brothers and those brothers who are actually looking out for sisters. I'm going to think twice before I snatch the sister's pocketbook. Easy. These are things we can easily do. not tomorrow, but right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And number 10, we need think tanks that will be responsible for promoting the philosophy that the key to stopping the violence is knowledge and appreciation of Black culture and history. That's what we have in the Black Messiah community called STIC, Society to Increase Cultural Knowledge. The only thing that has ever stopped young Black men from killing other Black men is Black culture. If you look at Public Enemy, the self-destruction movement of the 80s, dealing with
Mm-hmm.
Black culture. If you're dealing with the Million Man March, you're dealing with Black culture. If you're dealing with other initiatives where they had stopped gang violence, it was all rooted in Black culture. But if you look historically, the gatekeepers in Durham have been against Black culture. They fought against Black culture, and they have been guilty, Black and white, are preventing the rise of a Black Messiah. That's what J. Edgar Hoover tried to do, and Durham has carried it out. So
You,
those are 10 solutions.
you
10
see what
solutions.
Brother Chestnut posted
Let me
about the
read it.
Mac being torn down and McDo
Wow. Brother Chestnut said
mm-hmm.
the information I'm getting, they are planning tearing down the Mac, Hoover, etc. That does not surprise me at all because, once again, criminalizing a race.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have convinced people that a race is criminal, you can do
Mm-hmm.
anything to them.
And then you got
Nobody would have responded. The color law, thank you, sister.
They've
Nobody
been
would have
talking about
responded to
for
McDougal.
years tearing McDougal terrorists down.
Mhm. Nobody would have responded to McDougal terrorists if it wasn't for Ashley Kennedy and the squad.
That's right.
If it was for Ashley Kennedy and the squad, and when I say the squad, now you're talking about Maya, Joy, Joy. I say Little Joy, Joy. I mean, all these. It was a lot of people involved, but it was Ashley and a few others who said, "Look at McDougal terrorists. If Ashley and others hadn't taken the forefront in doing that, they would still be living with mold and McDougal terrorists."
so he wants to know where those people are gonna go. I suspect they're gonna move some of them to Oxford, but a lot of them from Oxford are across the street from where I live in I think it's called Briar Rose Apartments. They're new, they're income based. So some they're gonna move there, and that's what's causing a lot of the shooting over where I am. You have people from the Mac, you have people from Oxford, and they're not used to being with each other, and so they have beef.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah.
But truly, what the plan is here in Durham for all of our projects is to be destroyed. Really,
Mm-hmm.
they want to get rid of poor Black people.
Mm-hmm.
What the white people want to do and what they're doing in Durham is they're taking over, especially the downtown area,
Oh
because
yeah.
and they're making these $1 million apartments and things where only rich people can live in. And the rich people now want to come out of the suburbs into the city. And so what they're trying to do is, I see it in Durham, Raleigh, all over. They are slowly wedging out projects like they did Fellow Street. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing for a while now that they're going to do the same thing with McDougal Terry and Cornwallis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised, that
Mm-mm.
that is happening, because that's the goal, is they want these properties where they can build very rich, expensive homes and condos and stuff like that for wealthy people. Because see, we got all these companies coming here that's building up in Research Triangle Park and different
Mm-hmm.
areas. And these people going to need somewhere to live. I've been seeing every day that I go out, I see different license plates from other states and stuff, Texas, New Jersey, California, New York, all over. Because people are moving here and they got big
Wow.
incomes, and they need these properties to be vacated for them.
Mm.
So I'm telling you, we got a lot of work to do.
Brother
Indeed.
Earl, I just read your comment about how they already got the maps
Mhm.
already.
I'll tell
That
you, we can find the maps. If you go to, oh, look at what happened to Few Gardens. Yep, Hope 4. Plan for Few Gardens was Hope 4.
mm,
And you know that just goes back to urban renewal and all those other things that never panned out. But if you want to find the maps, you can get them online probably. But if you go to the North Carolina collection on the second floor of the Durham Library, you can have, they got a whole section about urban renewal. They got all the maps historically that they had in Durham and all the plans they've had for Durham. It's on the second floor in the Durham County Library and the North Carolina collection room. But see, that's information they don't want people
wow.
to have. Nobody ever goes in that room. If you want to find out everything that happened in Durham, if you want to find out the plans they've had for Durham to stop gangs since 2007,
Mm,
go to that room because they've had these plans to stop gang violence since in 2007. They redid it in 2014, and they got the same 50 groups who they give money that was
mm,
supposed to stop the violence in 2007, and the violence continues.
mm,
It's documented. There's a book, Durham's plan for stopping gangs, all the way back in 2007, and they redid it in 2014. And you see us having the same conversations over and over and over again, and nothing gets accomplished. So
mm.
before we close out, family, any let's see. Brothers Rafiq said, we mentioned before city council relative plans to destroy the MAC during the carbon monoxide expo. Yep,
I
I remember
remember
saying
that.
that, brother. I remember Brother Rafiq saying it because I was standing right behind him
Mm-hmm.
when he said it.
Mm-hmm.
So, sisters, so let's recap. We gave people 10 solutions, and share this video, please, because the replay, we're gonna, if you share the video on your Facebook page, on your social media, people can replay it because they can replay it. So share the video, please. That's one thing we can do, get the information out. Push the share button. Push the share button. Now, we gave the community 10 solutions
Mm-hmm.
that we are doing or can do right now. Most of those solutions, the Black Messiah movement community, as small as we are, just showing that it just takes where two or three are gathered in his name,
Mm-hmm.
that he is scriptures teach. But anyway, just a few people can do this work. Most of the 10 solutions that we have, we're already doing. Those 10 solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Your group can do it today. If
Mm-hmm.
you have a cell phone, you can set up a hotline. You can adopt a building. Go to Rose's, get a $5 bag of box of potato chips, pass it out on the street, just so you're putting something in people's hands to show you care, to break bread with them. That's the idea behind that.
Mm-hmm.
We can deputize Black men to say, okay, we're going to go to the malls, we're going to go to Walmart, and we're just going to walk around and make sure the sisters are good getting to their cars. Simple things we can do. So most of the things we're already doing or can do easily. Again, 2 community centers already with Black history books in Durham. Ashley Kennedy, who is president of the McDougal Terrace Residence Council, 51B. They have a Black History Library. 51B. Brother Chestnut said they're having a big meeting on Saturday at Abundant Life Church, how we stop the violence in Durham.
Mm.
But 51B, ask if you want to volunteer to help with young people. Contact Ashley Kennedy. Ask her what can you do at 51B. If you want to get involved with the community center at 900 East Main Street, it should be fully open in the next couple of weeks. Contact Cheryl Smith or Sister Shawstein Royster. So there's no excuse to say, I'm still looking for solutions. Why are we still looking for solutions when I just gave 12 solutions right there? Why
And I
are we
would
still
like to
looking?
add
Go ahead.
something where you said deputize Black men.
Mhm.
I think too that Black women need to take a part in it, just like Black men are doing, their part. Black women, very often we see young girls that are veering the wrong way. And a lot of times, I think we talked about it earlier. um it was just in a small chat on Facebook where we were talking about where some of these young people get the guns. Well, they're getting it from somewhere. They're getting it from someone that has a clean history, no criminal background, and that can apply for a gun. More than likely a girlfriend with no issues who is getting this gun and claiming it to be possibly stolen. So a lot of times, if you can get to the woman in the community, and when we know women outnumber men 1 to 10, if you can get to the women in the community, especially when they're young and they're impressionable, then you can make a dent about what type of young male they're going to accept to date. Are they going to get tripped up and have a baby with him, hide him, get in an argument with his baby mama, cause online beef? These are the things that are the triggers. So a lot of times, as women, when we see a young Black woman doing something that, we know is foolish, rather than, you know, turning our nose up at her or frowning upon her, take her under your wing. Because a lot of these young women, they don't have it. They don't have it. They don't have a mother figure. They don't have that auntie in the hood. I had several women that watched me from going to school to the store to wherever. I was not going to misbehave because my grandmother would hear about it. It might be from an auntie. It might be from, a play cousin. But there were women in that village that was my community that kept me guided. And I think Black women, we can do that.
And the reason why I don't mention the sisters because the sisters always show up. I mean, if I made a call right now to go downtown, it's going to be mostly sisters that show up. So I didn't mean to exclude the sisters, but that's always a given with me that the sisters are going to show up. But the brothers, not so much. Why that is, I have no idea. But, if we 10 Black men, 20 Black men could really change the city if we're
Yeah.
unified. It
Yeah.
does, and the bottom line is, it doesn't take a lot of talking. I've already given 10 easy solutions. I have no more solutions than those 10. I have no more solutions. I've had the same 10 solutions for a year. Those are 10 solutions. I ain't got nothing else. As far as places to implement them, again, 10 solutions and 2 community centers I just gave. I have no more solutions that I can give. Only thing we can do is get people involved. And now other people might have other solutions, but as far as Paul, I have no more solutions than the 10, and I've kept repeating them over and over again for the last 12 months. Those same 10 solutions over and over again, over and over again. So, anything else before we close out, sisters?
What time is this thing happening at Abundant Life, Brother Earl?
I don't think he said the time.
No, I saw he said something about it. I'll look it up and see. Oh, perfect. 10 a.m. All right.
So, anything else before we close out, sisters?
That is all. That is all. How many of y'all are gonna do this reading with us?
Oh yeah, talk about that for a second because that's going to be our next book study. Because we try to we if anything, one of the things that the Black Messiahs try to do for the community, if we say to get you to do it, we're already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If we say join us, if we say meet us in the hood, we already there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't if we can't, we're gonna beat you there, not meet you there. That's like what they used to say in the 70s.
Right, right.
Um,
So
yeah,
color
hold
of
that
law,
book again.
yeah.
Talk about that book for a second before we leave.
Hold on.
That's our next book report we're going to do for the community, and it
Yeah,
talks
this
about.
this book
Go
is
ahead.
great.
Mhm.
It's like it's pulling me in. I had to
Tell
stop,
the people the
obviously.
name, and because in case they didn't see it, give the people the name.
This book is a New York Times bestseller, actually. It's The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. A forgotten history of how our government segregated America. And that is exactly what this book talks about. And I would love to say that this book is speaking about past events, but really it's still happening. And so I just think if you don't pay attention to history, you're going to keep repeating it. And so just like Dr. Francis speaks about, we're on this circular thing. That was the whole theme of the ISIS papers, was we're on a very circular path of destruction that we just can't get off of. And it's basically because we just don't know where to stop. We really don't know what's happening. If you were ever a child and got on one of those spinning merry-go-rounds and someone else was spinning it, you really didn't, you were at their mercy until they stopped.
Mhm.
And so that's where Black people in America are as far as real estate goes. And real estate, the land is money, the land is blood. And it's the only thing they're not making more of. They're not making more of land. All they're doing is redistributing it. And these young people really need to know that they're fighting over a spot in the mall or McDougal Terrace. But what they don't know is McDougal Terrace is about to be leveled. And when it's leveled, where are they going to go? With
Brother,
17 boxes of Jordans and Tims. Where are you going?
Brother Chestnut said, Brother Paul, not to cut you off, sister, but
Mm-hmm.
this is interesting. Brother Chestnut said he just read the flyer and it states invitation only for the meeting Saturday. Well, since we won't invite it, that solves that problem.
Dang, I'm about to email them back because they don't ask me to come to their church several times. I might have to. I might have to see if any of my church friends are going so I can slide in there.
Yeah,
They
I mean, I
probably
wanted to,
require
I
a
wanted to
COVID
say
test.
that earlier. I wanted to say that earlier, but I was going to let somebody else. I was going to wait for the moment to post it. We won't invite it to that. The Black Messiahs don't get invited to
I'm
stuff.
a party crasher.
The Black Messiah, well, we do. That's why we do our own thing. The Black
I'm a
Messiahs,
party crasher. I
they
mean,
won't invite us to stuff like that.
it's the house of the Lord. Everyone's invited. That's what I'm going to say when I party crash.
I say, like Heavy D says, we got our own thing.
True, 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 true.
We got our own thing. I mean, we can if y'all want to meet, we can have our own meeting Saturday over at where we usually meet. Anyway, so but yeah, invitation only. So we ain't invited. So I guess we won't be going. So, Sister Chief of Staff, but like I said, we are confident that what we are doing, we can do our own thing because our motto is, and I'm going to end with the motto, so I'm not going to repeat it right now. Sister Sharon, Chief of Staff, you got anything to add before we close out?
No, I think we had a really good meeting.
Yeah, it was very good. Thank you, Brother Chestnut, Brother Rafiq, Brother Dale, Sister Charleston, news correspondent. Did I miss somebody? And everybody else. Oh, Brother Deshaun, Farad. Thank you, everybody who shared this video and who will share this video. Because that's the only way, since we don't get invited with stuff, people aren't going to know about what we do unless y'all share it on social media. If y'all don't share it about social media, they'll keep the Black Messiahs quiet. We're not going to talk about them. So, as always, family, we leave with the Black Messiah motto: stop waiting for a savior and be one. Shalom. Good night,
Shalom.
family.
Good night.
God night us.